Pablo Neruda is the pen name of a politician and writer Neftali Ricardo Reis Basalto. He assumed this name and later it has become his legal name. He assumed his name partly because his father was a practical man who does not want that his son should give his time and energy in the pursuit of poetry. He wants him to be a practical man and to have involved in practical occupation, and poetry he thinks is not at all practical. He won Nobel Prize for Literature in the year 1971, and he was influenced by another future Nobel winner, Gabriel Mistral. He became an ardent communist after Spanish Civil War. The purpose of the poem, that is what? Keeping quiet. Keeping quiet means silence. If we are keeping silence for some time, it will teach us the meaning of sadness in our lives. All the time we are involved in one task or another task. All the times we are involved in doing this work or that work. Our diary is full of assignments. Our notes in mobiles are burdened with the task, the targets, which we are supposed to complete in our day-to-day life. And because of that, a kind of sadness has prevailed in our life, although we are earning, although we are learning, although we are gaining, although we are busy, but still a kind of sadness has prevailed us. That silence will give us a time to introspect and think the meaning of sadness in our lives. The death threat, people are saying that they are making weapons for safety. The weapons are made for safety, but what is the wrong use of it? When it is coming in the wrong hands, it resulted in war. All over the world, people are in struggle. All over the world, people are in constant war. And this silence will help us to understand ourselves and adopt Earth as our teacher. Earth is giving us the message which we shall discuss here in the poem. The silence will also teach us the necessity of quiet introspection, self-analysis. If the people are having the habit of making self-analysis, they can plan, they can remove the hurdles, they can remove the problems, and once again they are going on the new plane to enjoy the pleasurable journey of life here upon this earth. It is also creating the feeling of mutual understanding among human beings. Language has been imparted to human beings by God, the power who is running this world, so that they can communicate themselves. With the passage of time, mankind has developed so many languages, and we find nowadays even people are fighting for the sake of language. The language was a tool to communicate us. It is not a tool to divide among us. That's why the poet is saying that we must have mutual understanding for each other. Generally, people are thinking that they should be independent, but I personally think people should not be independent. People must have mutual understanding. If the people are understanding the need of each other, they are respecting the need of each other, only then this world will be a place to live just like heaven. So do not be independent, be mutually cooperative, be mutually dependent, so that I will not feel any kind of ego feeling and you will not be having the same. So far as theme is concerned, the poem is telling us that we have to move through our lives without passing or caring for the world around us. Suffering of nature, the world and other people. We are in hurry. We are running from one place to another place. We do not have time to stand and stare. The beautiful nature all around. Even sometimes we are not able to help the needy people on time because we have to reach some place at a certain time or meeting. So this is what people are doing it. To criticize the divisive tendency of man, let's not speak in any language. we would all be together in a sudden strangeness. This language variety is dividing the people of all over the world. In the name of language, they are fighting, they are talking, but if they are getting the time for some time, it will be a kind of strangeness. It will provide them the chance to think about, they can chastise themselves because they will realize that how many animals they have killed. What a great harm they have done to the environment, and as they are involved in the rat race of making weapons, and ultimately when they are winning or losing the battle, people have lost their lives. So mankind is getting the victory, but the survivors are not there. So what is the purpose of all these wars? That silent moment will impart us that feeling to understand. It will also provide a kind of platform to think about our guilt and the hatred. So, in the end, the poet is also giving the message that we have to put on clean clothes and walk with our brothers. We have to understand each and every human beings upon the earth as our brother, and we should not think about harming each other or them. This beautiful picture is giving us all what the poet wants to say. If we are keeping that silent for some time, obviously we will have a time. One of the great occasion the life is giving us in the form of yoga, when we have a schedule of meditation in our 24-hour schedule, even for some minute, then we can plan, we can realize, we can pray for the Almighty for all the blessings He has given us, and for all the planning with the help of Him we can make. Text of the poem. Let's begin the poem. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. So this is what the poet is addressing to the people, that if we are counting for 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that, and even for those 12 seconds if we are keeping the picture along with the text are suggesting exactly what is going on all around the world. It would be an exotic moment when all the people of the world are stopping the movement for some time, even for 12 seconds. It would be an exotic moment. It would be not a normal moment. Without rush. Look at the street which has been given here. Everybody is rushing from here and there. Nobody is having time to stand and stay. When no engine is there, machines are stopped, we will all be together. That togetherness, that uniformity, that unity of the world has been imparted to us. So this is what the poet wants to say. It will be a kind of sudden strangeness. Fishermen will not go for their livelihood there in the sea. The whales will not be. The whales will not be harmed. And the men who are gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. Generally in our day-to-day life, people have a lot of targets. So they are just completing their target about not bothering about themselves, but the harm they are doing to their physical body. And that 12 seconds moment, that silent moments will be a chance that we can think about our harm. Rush, it will be hurry, what I have told you earlier. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors. Repetition of the words is there. Alliteration is applied over here. Put on clean clothes will come in a new manner, and that will be the new manner of sudden silence. Walk about with their brothers in the shade. We are having comfort over there, and we are not doing anything. When we are not doing anything, means we are uniform. We are thinking in the same manner about the welfare of the others. Green wars means wars against environment. People are doing a lot of harm to the environment when they are going for offices or their work. They are emitting poisonous gases to the environment for the sake of their houses. They are removing the forest for the sake of industries. They are doing so. So people are doing a lot of harm to the environment. If they are keeping silent and not involved in any kind of activity, the environment will be protected. Wars with gas. People are using poisonous gases in the war. Chemical wars are there. People with fires, that is what the unnecessary use of arms and bombs that causes fire, which we have witnessed in the First World War and Second World War. And that is the reason all the countries of the world are trying not to use them. People exploit green wealth of nature by deforestation, mining and fishing in the deep sea. The soldiers use weapons to kill their fellow human beings. The poet puts them on a new clothes, that is, new approach. Put on new clothes means new approach to live life, that killing many animals is not a victory. People. He does not want us to stop work but to stay for some time and realize our deeds. Text of the poem continue. I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Poet does not want that should be not be completely activity for all the time. The poet is saying that total inactivity even for some moments, and if we are thinking even for some moments and stopping all the activities of the world, then life will be having a different attitude. I want no truck with death, no association with death. We should not live in a death-like situation. The poet here warns us that this message of silence should not be confused with total inactivity or inertia or death. He further clears that this message does not have any affinity with death even. His message is aimed at the way of living. He wants us to stop a while and feel the calmness so that a positive introspection is done. So this is what the poet is saying. Total death or inactivity is something else. To keep quiet for some time is a different phenomena that will impart us a kind of message, that will impart us a kind of time. Now, in the later stanza, the poet is saying, if we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves. This is what the solution poet is providing to all the ills of the world. People are having a kind of sadistic nature. People are having a kind of sadness in their personal life. Why? Because they are not getting the time to think about themselves, about world. Once they are thinking what the harm they are doing to themselves, or the harm they are doing to the others, what the harm they are doing to the world, then they will be having a kind of understanding, and that understanding will be very helpful. That understanding will be very much, we can say, appreciable, and people will understand their own values and their responsibilities towards the world. The earth can teach us when everything seems dead and data proves to be allowed. Now, this earth is giving us the messages. Different nature symbols are there, which are showing that sometimes we are silent, again we are revitalized. Sometimes we are inactive, again we are revitalizing. The earth is giving that message. In the conclusion, he is saying, I will count up to 12 and you will keep quiet and I will go. The poet suggests us to take a teaching from nature. Taking a pause and introspect into our lives will give life a new meaning. We'll be able to understand the purpose of our life. It will be like a rebirth of the soul. The poet has conveyed to all the people the purpose of his message, so he asked them to once again, he take a pause to count till 12. The poet walks out of sight and keep the scene open for all the people to experience this for times to come. So in this way, the poet is concluding the poem by suggesting certain kind of ways. The poetic devices which are covered here in this poem, they are alliteration, sudden strangeness, clean clothes, we would, hurt hands, we will, wars with. Earlier I also pointed out the repetition is there. Wars, green wars, the wars with fire, at that kind of instances. So far as language is concerned, the poet has used very common words. They are not having any kind of vocabulary which is not understandable to any one of us. It is a straightforward sentence construction, ironically sensitizes the reader to the power of silence. The poet is saying to read the poem, but he is talking about to be silent. This is what the irony the poet is sensitizing. He is intensifying the magnitude of the issue that threaten mankind and propel them to extinction. This is what he is saying, that if people are involved continuously in harming the environment, in harming the mankind, the day is not very far when mankind will be extinct in this world. This poem also awakens in us the necessity to take steps to stop the immediate destruction what we are doing to our Mother Nature. We can learn the lesson from Mother Nature that we have to revitalize our life in a new prospect. We have to be more responsible. We have to be more reasonable in doing our work and for the betterment of mankind. As I have already told you that from this year some extract based questions are set. So if these extract based questions are set, so this is an example for you. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving, for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. Whom does we refer to in the above lines? The four options are here. The poet and his friend, human beings thinking about their own progress. Third option is soldiers. Fourth is human beings thinking about world's progress. So B is the correct option, thinking about their own progress. Soldiers is not there. Find the words in the extract similar to the meaning large. Four options are here: threatening, moving, interrupt, huge. When we are preparing the questions, we must be having that idea that one question will be there that can be based on poet and poem. Second question will be there that will be based on the figure of speech, the literary device. Third question will be there which can be based on some vocabulary. So three questions are the priority when you are making preparation for these kind of answers. I would like to repeat them: name of the poem and the poet. Second one is figure of speech or the literary device which has been applied over there. Third one, what I have told you about the vocabulary point of view. So these are some of the points which you have to keep in mind. What is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem? People fail to understand, threatening ourselves, huge silence, and so single-minded. I would like to tell you the options for the last question. Huge means large. What is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem? People fail to understand, huge silence, threatening ourselves, so single-minded. First is the correct option. People fail to understand. The poet wants us to do nothing for once and it will interrupt the sadness. So this is what the suggested question answers are given to you. Apart from these extract based questions of multiple choice, we will be having some short answers as well. They will be of 30 to 40 word limit, and the question can be set like this: according to the poet, what is it that human beings can learn from nature? Suggested value points: life under apparent stillness and attitude, man can learn from nature. The earth never in a state of total inactivity, nature works in stillness all around. Winter associated with inactivity, but not actually true, it is so. Another question is there which has been presented to you as a suggested value points, that is keeping quiet, change our attitude to love life. Now this keeping quiet will suspend all our activities, and a brief moment will give us time to introspect and analyze our actions. We will develop a new understanding and our surroundings and thus change our attitude to life. We will check our destructive ways and try to be more positive and constructive. Another question is there, which is the exotic moment. Generally this question is set in the exam about exotic moment, either in extract based questions or in short type of answer. Which is the exotic moment that the poet refers to in keeping quiet? The poet refers to the moment of stillness and quietness as an exotic moment. It would be an exotic moment as such a tranquility will initiate. Tranquility means complete peace. Peace and brotherhood. There would be no movement, no talk, no activity, and consequently no violence. We have been given some questions for practice. What will counting up to 12 and keeping quiet help us to achieve? Do you think the poet advocates total inactivity or death? What is the sadness that the poet refers to in the poem Keeping Quiet? What symbol from nature does the poet use to provide your goal of understanding the poem, appreciation of the poem, to attempt the questions from the point of view of theme, background, conclusion, explanation? Thank you.